This is New Eden FM.
And hello and welcome to New Eden FM, the radio show, your weekly update on all things, even, of course, your weekly mix of tunes to keep you in the fight, no matter whether that fight is versus Blood Raiders, Space Cows, or Velspar. This is Maestra keeping you in step behind the ones and twos. And when am I without my favorite wing peoples? That's right, Alondri of the Galaxy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody has flown on down for Sunday drive down to Pator Planet 1. We're just hanging at the lava planet where it is as hot there as it is this summer.
I still need to get out there. You know, I'm always fashionably late, right? Because my excuse is that I'm always doing studio work. And this is the reason why I'm late to virtually every single... You know what? It's probably better to just move on. Latara, my favorite number one on the show and on the grid. What's going on?
Not much, you know. Been a busy week.
Hasn't it been for everyone? Like, dude, there's so much stuff going on right now, right?
I've just been trying to sort out guests, and then news keeps coming in. I see posts on Reddit that groups are going to war and wars are ending. It's like, well, we need to get people to talk about this. That's basically been my week.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, our guests are starting to arrive in the studio. We have Ganger representing, I believe, Flying Circus. It's been a really long time, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, going great. Just woke up.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it's certainly good to have you. And Knox from Red Sea, my favorite crab.
Hey, how's it going?
I don't know. You tell me. Considering that you guys just finished what is going to be construed as the last battle between Red Sea and TCOS, or anyone in TCOS for that matter. And this is something that we are going to have in the not so distant future, should I say. So today's show is fat, and I do mean it is fat. The big news, the next major update, the Sleepers hit servers this coming Wednesday. The corporations who have been selected for the opening ceremony are getting their formation sorted out. A new Q&A from and more teas from the company with the name rhyming with the aforementioned word. Of course, the Content Creators Corner featuring New Eden's best and brightest, the state of the war, this long ongoing dispute between AOA and the Pact is finally coming to an end after a climatic battle on last weekend. And, geez, so much more.
And all things Eve echoes and Eve online. New Eden News.
This is, in fact, New Eden News, and holy cow, not Space Cows. What a news segment. It's hard to get off this studio conversation. Apparently, you know, people posting pictures of their feet in Discord. By the way, that is a bannable offense here in this Discord, so don't do it. Just saying, don't do it.
We do have a little announcement we need to get out.
Yes, we do. In fact, have an announcement.
Special announcement.
Yes,
That's
we
right.
do. Mm-hmm.
Rambo's daughter has turned 2 years old today, and she loves the game too, so we want to give a shout out to her and wish her a very happy birthday from all of us here at New Eden Radio.
Absolutely. Big salute to a future spacefaring lady, because let's face it, we are kind of in the minority right now. But I'll be honest, like my first real exposure to anything sci-fi was when I used to sit on the floor at my parents' friend's house and they were watching Star Trek all the time, and I thought that it was the weirdest thing ever. Like, what are these people doing? Like, why are these people flying around? Why do they get to travel around in the stars and stuff, right? And as it turns out, I still really love sci-fi universes, you know what I mean? I spent a considerable amount of time watching various different shows like The Orville because of that love for sci-fi and things like that. And so I'm really hoping that she continues to love this this genre because sci-fi is a very, very, very it's a very unique genre, and it's one of the most imaginative genres because it's what we as a human society imagine our civilization to be like many years in the future. And the truth of the matter is, I mean, by any stretch of the imagination, it's a massive stretch of the imagination. So here is to sci-fi loving youth and hopes that she grows up to be just like her dad. You know,
That's
the
right.
sci-fi love. The sci-fi love. Just,
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. A big shout out to Rambo, of course, one of our favorite content creators. I hit up your show on last week. It was very entertaining, at least the part where everyone started going over to the asteroid belt and blowing each other up. We'll get on that during the Content Creators Corner. But right now, this is, in fact, New Eden News. And the big news for us at this present moment is all these announcements that have been dropping, you know, like clockwork from the devs since, oh geez, the middle of last week. So all of the corporations who took the $50 buy-in fee, the ones that were selected have already been selected, and the ones that have not or that were not selected were refunded their AUR with a small compensation. I believe it was in skill points and Lazarus units. Correct, Alondria?
That would be correct. The ones that got refunded, the AUR got, I believe it was 100,000 Lazarus units, 20,000 skill points, whereas the ones who had the been accepted and were one of the 50 that were accepted got 30,000 skill points, 120,000 Lazarus units, and that wonderful, lovely medal.
Yeah, I think that the medal is something that most people would have just taken it and gone, okay, so I would have paid this just to have this on my corporation or have this for my corporation. And, you know, it really is kind of unfortunate that this was one of those scenarios where, once again, oh, yeah, so it's only a small group of people. And that was covered on Echoes of New Eden as well. Like, yeah, you know, give us $50 and you might have a chance to do this. I hate gambles. I don't like gambling. And that's part of the reason why I've avoided a lot of these things.
And you look at the list, you see half of the corps you've never heard of in your life. I mean, you would think that they would want to get an opportunity through some of the corporations that have really made a mark, not necessarily in the contest, but in the game itself, to have an opportunity.
Well, to be fair,
they didn't make it very inclusive.
To be fair, I did notice that Axe Capital got in. Now, they're a Void Corporation. They were actually my first corporation in EVE Echoes. And they haven't really done anything of like great notoriety, but they still got in. So, you know, I mean to both cases or whatever, it seems like they kind of took from both pools. Like it does seem like it was kind of fair. They have HTP, then they have like Axe, and they have some other people. By the way, congratulations to my friends in Axe. Yeah, we may shoot each other and everything, but you know the love is still there. But you know, it was pretty well distributed. It's just more or less that, oh, this is a thing that only, you know, certain members of the community can take part in. Plus, there's a $50 buy-in. I didn't agree with that, but it's where we are. So, moving forward, they can plan these formations, which it appears to be capital ships they're going to be piloting, and they can determine how they want these capital ships to be lined up on grid. Again, Echoes of New Eden is like, yeah, here's hoping that we have something like formations actually in the game, and it does exist in EVE Online. So,
well, the formations are actually, from what I understand, include battleships, battle.
Okay, cool, nice.
So, yeah, there, people who are doing that are able to set that up and look at all the different ships. I'm not sure exactly how it works because I haven't gotten to play with it personally, but I've seen some things.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it seems like a really cool feature. And, you know, I don't really agree with the fact that most of the members of the community aren't going to be a part of this. But at the same time, I'm glad that the community are at least having some part in this whole thing. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. And then more sus stuff and more teasing from the company with ease in its name. with more announcements and just weird, I guess, role playing on their Discord. And of course, second anniversary, our Eve Echoes second anniversary theme song, which they only teased a small part of it, a very small part of it. We're supposed to guess what the full name of the song is. Sometimes, just so you guys know, the name of a song isn't necessarily included in the lyrics, so good luck on that one. But let's see what happens, and let's see if someone actually gets it, because if they get it, it's going to be great. So there is a list of all the finalists selected corporations, and even though I cannot go through this entire list because it's a pretty long list, I believe that, like I said, X Capital got in. Necromonger's Empire, I believe that is Lexia's corporation that got in.
Yeah, My Original Corp.
There you go.
Your Original Corp and My Original Corp got in.
They
so
got
there you
in.
go.
So congratulations. Also, a shout out to my buddy Kilroy. I believe that F Society made it in, so that's really cool.
They did.
Yeah. Even though J Factor is now retired, Crimson Empire made it in.
They did.
So that was kind of cool. And to be fair,
a couple of corps from the former TF actually got in. I think there was another one that got in as well.
And Drachenbloat got in as well. So DBL, they got in there. Catskill Cartel, Benzies Corporation, that got in. So I mean, it really is a really star-studded and very diverse lineup. I like it. I like what they did as far as this part was concerned, and I think that it's great. Now, the finalists of the invited corporations, those that were invited, included Valhalla, Noir from Burr, of course, and Sakuma Drop. I believe, isn't that Fox Corporation?
Sure.
Yes, it is. That's Foch, Patain, and is Tremeljack with? No, he's not. He's someone else, I think, in Silent. But
yeah, I had to ask. I know that isn't Malarella part of El Gorilla?
No, Mattarella is with Mate now, I believe.
Okay. So that corporation got in, and there was a really awesome picture of not only a skin that they that I believe that Mott's corporation got, but also a really cool medal. So there's some nice rewards going out from people doing these things, and of course you have the salty individuals that are mad that their corporations paid the $50 and didn't get in. And it looks like Matty Hunt is correcting me. He says that no. Saku is Saku. So I'm trying to figure out where we're going with this, but yeah, ex-Saku medal. I agree. I mean, Saku is very interesting, and I was really happy to see all these groups getting these nice goodies. And then there was a screenshot on the official Discord where you could see some of the formations and what they're trying to get at for formations. But I think that the most captivating thing for everyone that appeared on the Discord, I believe it was yesterday, late in the evening, U.S. prime time, is this announcement that the Sleepers are coming to Eve Echoes, and this is going to be dropping on Wednesday. Granted, there isn't a whole lot of information. Odds are we're probably not going to get any actual patch notes until we're a few hours from them actually dropping the patch on the game live. But we do know a little bit about the Sleepers from the EVE Online part of where they come from. And it should be kind of interesting to see how they end up here in this game. Because Sleepers, if I'm not mistaken, come from wormholes. And yeah, oh, cool. So Rambo just posted that skin that El Gorilla got in The Sound of Us. If you can check that out, it's absolutely brilliant. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's Sakuma Drop. And they got the little origami crane medal, which is absolutely breathtaking. Thing is awesome. Yeah, that core is awesome. For those of you that can't see The Sound of Us, that Nightmare Blaze core for El Gorilla is 19.2% laser damage, 24.0% laser EM damage, and 24% shield. That's a sexy ass core. And the skin, the way it looks is absolutely badass. It's like something from a King Kong movie. It's just great.
I mean, I wouldn't care if the nano core was absolute trash. That skin is
It's
just
badass.
glorious.
It absolutely is. It absolutely positively is. So congratulations to all the members in various different factions that got these really cool rewards for their contributions in Eve, because let's face it, man, you guys deserve it, and I am happy to see that they're at least getting their goodies, because I think Dragon Viper said that it took them a while before like Pew got their rewards, like their special banner and stuff, after they did the art contest about a year ago, give or take. So moving right along into the developer Q&A, and I'll just quickly spruce over this because it's not exactly as well, you be the judge. Question number 1, on corporation supply approval applications, would it be possible to make the application's name a link to the character, or a way that we can start a chat with the character to discuss the request? At the moment, you've got to copy the character name or search for them through your corp member list to contact them if you want to inquiry their application, and it's a pain. An easy way to access messages or look at their details would be great.
Their response is epic.
Yeah. Okay, so on the application review page, tap on the applicant's avatar to open the business card, and then tap the send message button to
Yes.
I can't believe
Oh
they
my gosh,
wasted a
that guy
Q&A spot on this.
Well, NetEase is known to be NetEase for a reason.
I
'Cause
can't
they will
believe-
tease you. They trolled that man. They trolled that man hard. I mean, he did this big long thing, and all he had to do this whole time was click on the portrait. So they felt the need. They needed to let him know in this trolly way. Remember, these are the people that they melted down people's phones, and they sent people in the mail a heatsink and coolant. So this does not surprise me.
A few months down the road, that is kind of funny, but at the time, it was really not funny.
No, it really wasn't at the time, but it's NetEase for a reason.
Yeah, of course, I completely agree. So basically, they used a question on this. Like, I cannot believe they used a question on this. Like, wow, you wasted a Q&A question on this? I mean, it was funny, but anyway. With question number 2, with all the different medals players have equipped, can it be possible to view the details on them? I can see them, but I have no idea what they're for, and I'd like to know what they are for. We're working on some optimizations for medals and personal business card display. Would be great to have a little bit more customization in the game. I mean, it's great to see those little medals on people but you only really get to see the primary medal anyway when you check when you check them. I think if you open their card, you can see all of them, but
Yeah.
you can't really see what they where they got these medals or what they're supposed to signify or anything. And I feel that there could have been so many really cool applications for medals that either showing the medals, giving them small stat bonuses, anything that would have just made them, really cool to collect, kind of like achievements in World of Warcraft or something. But
I don't know. Anytime you see somebody's name you don't see in local, and they've got a really weird medal,
you do want to look
like,
at it.
oh, I better take a look. You want to look at that person. It grabs your attention.
Yeah.
So, and it also shows, competence. Knows that pilot probably knows what they're doing. Maybe not just somebody randomly passing.
Well,
it's an eye catch.
I think it was something that was suggested some time ago, and that is to have medals for more than just like the stuff that NetEase is giving us. Like for example, getting achievements like being able to kill like 1,000 capsuleers or something. You get rewarded a medal for it. Spending like killing like 1 million rats or something, or 1 million blood raiders, or or Goodrich pirates or something like that, which would have been great to have an achievement system where people would be rewarded medals just for doing this, and yet they still haven't gotten around to doing this. And these things are content, you know what I mean? Content that it's super easy just to throw this into the game, and you've made instant content something for people to grind on, and they won't mind grinding for it because achievement hunters love this stuff. I don't get it. But so question number 3 is, hi, are there plans to improve bots AI in the or implement bots AI into the faction war games to limit the waiting time for a match? Sometimes me and my friends, we have to wait 10 minutes for one game. Thank you. And the answer is thank you for your feedback, but at present we are focusing on optimizing the gameplay of faction war games and increasing participation rather than adding in bots AI. I mean, really guys, what would be the difference between ratting and having a...
And the weekends are especially bad whenever it's open all day, because I tried one time, I guess it was non-crime anybody's time. I waited 30 some odd minutes to try and get a match and didn't get one. I just decided, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, it's kind of...
I think the worst part is that you can't do anything else while you're like queued up. Like you just have to stare at that screen. Like you should be able to do stuff while you're docked, right? Like that's the market.
There are other games where you queue for instances and can go about your business in the game while you're queued for an instance. They should develop sort of systems for queuing in. And that would increase participation, I think, because people could just go about their day and, oh, wow, I can join faction war games. But then, of course, you would have to be able to do it anywhere, and that would probably create a mess.
I think you just stay docked, right? And then you can like mess with fittings. You can like do stuff. You know, talk to your corp mates. Like,
that's true. Yeah, you can't even access the chat when you're queued up. It's just that screen sitting there, counting down, looking at you.
Right. It usually, if I'm queued up for faction war games, I'm probably doing something else. Just saying.
I mean, could you imagine if they let you do anything in the game and you could just like jump into a faction warfare game? You'd have people at CTAs just activate caretaker mode and then they're in faction war games.
I mean,
yeah, you'd have to stay docked because there's so many ways you could abuse it, right? You could, if you like instantly teleported it out.
I'm not gonna lie, it does sound pretty. I mean, you know what? I'll just move on because I know that anything I say is like verging on the edge of like maybe cheating or exploiting. But that's interesting. And the final question is: are there any plans to introduce a counter similar to the interdiction module that can uncloak any covert op ships within 10 kilometers? This would be a great addition to the aspect of gate camps and protection. Even required to have more ships in the fleet to create a camp. And the answer is we have plans to add gameplay mechanics about cloaking and anti-cloaking, which may be module ships or structures. But the specific plan is to be determined. So this has been an ongoing thing, and I know that this was written by a PvPer who is annoyed because they set up gate camps and have magnate covert ops just like slip through their fingers all the time. And we've also lost a few Asteros. I've lost a few Asteros because of this.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that our covert op ships that's kind of their purpose, is running blockade, things like that. That's kind of their function, is to be able to do that. Yeah. And you do have to have a little bit of skill at least to do it, especially if the gate camp is competent. If you're setting up to where you can cloak something that's cloaked and hit your bubble, I mean, I've gone through gate camps, and I'm like, okay, there's a gate camp there, cloak up, and then I land on the dictor. That's a good gate camp. That's a gate camp that they've taken in strategy into place where they know people can come in here cloaked. Let's make sure if they're warping straight here in the cloaked, they're going to get caught. You know, you have to do. But if a covert op ship is going to bounce to planets, angle themselves in, and then they are using strategy against the gate camp, and that really is kind of why we play is strategy. So I don't think they should completely out close.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I think people who want like a decloaking within an area of effect module want the game on easy mode.
Yeah, I mean, there is something about like hunting these guys down and shooting them, and getting lucky and decloaking someone. Now I can understand there being complaints about people who can camp a system 24/7 while cloaked. I get that complaint.
That's a problem.
That and you know a soft module would hear that. Something that every so often can hit it and decloak anything in the system or something, and they can't cloak. They get a decloak timer for 2 minutes. You can commence to hunting. You know, something like that would be fun. It would make chasing cloaked people actually a thing. But you couldn't like just on clicking it and keep on clicking it. But it would prevent somebody from cloaking 24/7.
I'd have to check the mechanics and ask some of my friends in EVE Online, but I think that there is a countermeasure for people staying cloaked in systems for extended periods of time, where they can be scanned out eventually. So it's you know, there are different ways that you can handle a situation like this. As far as making gate camping easier, I mean, come on, guys, like seriously. I know that it's annoying. We've lost the sterols to people, or to you know, that were able to get away from us. We've lost magnates. We've even lost, you know, blackbirds and arbitrator covert ops that were able to sneak away. You know, we've lost them.
Yeah.
But it's just part of the game, right? If you are skilled enough, sometimes you can bump them out of cloak. I mean, it's not worth complaining about. Not in my opinion.
There's tactics. There's tactics for the hunter and the prey to basically like avoid being decloaked and to actually decloak people. I mean, my favorite one when I'm trying to avoid someone decloaking me is you sit there, wait, and you see where their dicta is, and you align yourself so they have to bump the gate to actually straight line at you. That one's always hilarious.
My goodness. You just got to be careful that you don't bump the gate. So that requires a small degree of awareness and a small degree of skill to make sure that you're not...
No, because you're going away from the gate to get out. So... I'll show you someday, Kenzie. I'll show you.
Okay, I would have to see like what you're talking about, but I think I can imagine what you're getting at. But either way, it is, you know, I mean, some of these questions, I just really wish that they would answer some of the more interesting ones. But I mean, they never answered our question, like for inquiry to expand the store so we could like buy Plex and use it as a way of giving rewards to the people that tune into the show. So I don't really know. They didn't answer that question, but
like I say, they're not called net for nothing. I'm just surprised that we didn't get anything about industrial penetration.
Oh, don't worry. That's probably coming up right after they drop the sleeper patch.
There you go. More industrial penetration. Just what we need.
It is the thing that we didn't know that we needed, but apparently we do. Oh, I'm just gonna get right into it. For the second time today, happy birthday to Rambo's Mini-Me. And on the subject of, you know, Echoes of New Eden, big congratulations to Rambo. I mean, the content has been getting really, really, like, awesome over there. So last week, there was a fight that included some Tech 3 frigates, and somehow a Balgorn being piloted by Dragon Viper ended up in the mix. It was pretty priceless, just like listening to it. I wasn't even there. I wasn't there, but I was listening to what was going on grid, and it just seemed like a lot of fun. So every week, he is doing the show live, and there's been a lot of stuff going on over there. Game shows. He's been doing like these little events where people can go out there and kill each other. And in many cases, he and Telerik have been giving out the ships, even giving people the ships they need to go out and kill each other. So if you're free on a Thursday night or a Thursday or a Friday morning, depending on where you are in the world, you should definitely check out the Echoes of New Eden, because it really is fun. That's Rambo. We have another content creator that we're spotlighting on today, and a guy whom I have not talked to since essentially the end of the Pantheon era. Ganger, welcome to the show. You made some of the most memorable videos during that time period, and I still to this hour have that copy of the meme song that we worked on together after Santiago decided that he was going to shoot a blue pass.
Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So,
remember
I mean,
that song.
getting down to business, and I was prompted to message you, Gengar, and speak to you about coming on the show, primarily to do with the TT68 versus Fly Sea War. I mean, obviously it's spawned a bit of content for yourself, so, I mean, how's this all come about? I mean, that's probably the best place to start.
Yeah, no, it's been great content. I guess it probably started about a month and a half ago when we got intel that TT68 were trying to move into Impasse. They'd been kicked out of Delve by the Space Cows. And so, yeah, they had about 3 move ops that they tried to do to get into like an NPC station in Impasse. And we did a log off track each time. One of the ones I made a video of, we had a nasty drag bubble and we completely wiped their fleet. And so that stopped like their sort of invasion, and we thought that was over, but then they started settling Solve about 2 jumps out of Impasse in Tenerife, and they were just chilling there for a while. And then about a week ago now, they one of our posses on the border of Impasse was hit, and we didn't know who it was, and then they showed up for the armor timer, and it was a TT68 and an OTO fleet. So OTO had been hosting TT68 in Tenerife, and so yeah, we went to war with them. We hit all of their posses. Then they came back and they hit all of our citadels with a pretty big fleet. We're about evenly matched, I think, in terms of size between Fly C and TT68, and OTO was there as well. And so, yeah, we hit all of their citadels, and then when it came down to the 2 citadel timers kind of lined up. So when they came to take our armor, we had a pretty large fleet fight. We dropped some dreads on them, we wiped their fleet, and then we went and took all of their citadels to Hull. And then we've been having some pretty good fights this last week.
So are we going to expect a few more videos out of these conflicts then, Gengar?
So the last fight they hired No. We had a good fight. We wiped their fleet, but then the No fleet wiped ours. But their leader has left the corp and taken 3 of their corps with him to join No. So what's left of TT68 is there's not a lot left of TT68. They've sort of surrendered to us, and we cancelled this morning's CTA just so we can negotiate a deal, like, in good faith. So it sounds like the war's technically still on. We're just not going to blow up the citadels until like negotiations are finished. But
no, that's fair enough. It's the good faith gesture to do.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But they've kind of all of their I think all the perpetrators of the war have left, so we don't really have any beef with the ones remaining.
That's fair. So, I mean, in terms of content creation, I think you've been creating content since the Pantheon days, around the time of the GHA Pantheon clashes. I mean, what got you interested in that?
So, the main thing that got me interested was, we'd have a fight, right? Like, and since there's no API, everyone would be like, "Oh, we actually won the fight." No, we won the fight, and it was just like, all right, I'm gonna start actually recording these fights and like showing, like, yeah, here are all the kills. And then I don't know, I just started editing more, adding music, and then just getting into it that way.
I think the most epic one I've seen of yours, I think it was one of yours, was the crazy bull holding a citadel solo. That whole like sequence of fights that day was incredible. The LJ Tech fight where
we were very, very outnumbered, but like the fleets that were attacking us were quite uncoordinated. And then we destroy the first citadel, and we're like quite far away from the second citadel. We're not going to make it in time. And then Crazy Bull logs in a Raven, his triple extended Raven, which wasn't meta at the time, but it has since been meta. And he held the timer with 47 seconds left for like the longest time.
That was just nuts. I think he was starting to break just as your fleet actually showed up. And,
we saved him. Like, the guy was tanking the fleet by himself, and then our Logi landed first, because the battle cruisers, they warp faster, and then, and then we showed up.
I was there for that one, as I actually started my career. I have to go to work at the radio station at 12. We're still fighting, and at that point, we're all burning to try to save Crazy Bull. So I'm in a Logi, and I get on grid naturally, and we're just trying to keep this guy from getting popped while waiting for our Guardians to get on grid so that we don't get popped either. Because at the time we were exposed. So it was a very interesting day, and I think that was probably one of the best fights in Pantheon history. I don't remember a whole lot of fights that really just were as incredible as that one, other than maybe the Battle of Six.
Your Logi anchoring was just amazing to watch. Like, the fact that our Logi bubble survived in that firestorm of fleets was incredible.
There was this one guy, and I can't remember his name, on the ACR side, and he would always eat Megatrons into us. Like, he was literally fit for no other reason than to try to catch a Logi in the bubble using a Megathorn, and they would always keep him up. And so I remembered altering my combat strategy during that one battle, like the final battle at Zid, because when I saw this guy on grid, I knew what he was after, and it was actually kind of a game of wits to figure out what we were gonna do. And somehow I ended up trapping him between our main fleet and in the Citadel, and Stony popped him. So it was great. But I mean, with anything, it's you're just there for the moment. And I started off as being Logi, so it made it very easy to keep on doing it. You know what I mean? Just like and you just get better at it because you do it all the time. But I appreciate it as always, just like I appreciated your content. Many a times I went back to your videos to see how I could have improved, because there were a few of those where my positioning.
I think the ZID fight, you were the Logi anchor. I think Saboni was the one in the LJ Tech, but yeah, those were both really great fights.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've been a part of many, many epic fights. What would you say then is the must-watch video you've put out?
It has to be the Crazy Bull fight, I think. The 300 versus... I can't remember the title. Someone can find it. It was like 301 Crazy Raven versus something. You have to watch that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those that you wouldn't believe it until you actually see that footage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Do you find yourself, as a known content creator, like finding yourself getting shot at a lot more than others in those big fights, or have you not really noticed any?
Yeah, I've noticed that whenever, like during the Void War, when we were in like Void Noji space, I would always get headshot. I did notice that. Like, not even headshot, but like killed and then potted. And so like it was kind of annoying as like a content creator, like when you're potted, right? You can't even make footage.
I don't. So I was an FC for Void at that time, and I'd feel bad shooting at you, but if you were the closest viable target, it was like, yeah, I've got to.
yeah. I know. I get it. But then, I think a few times I've had to like recreate the fight in like MS Paint because like the fight's still going on, and there's nothing to like show.
That's awesome, though. That is awesome. I mean, the last time I fought against you was you'd gone to Pew's home system, and you were trying to take the armor. Dragon Viper recorded and put the video up from our perspective, but we were Kite versus your Brawl. and you guys caught us, and I was like, split second, it was like, do we bail or do we just fight it out? And it was like, we fight it out. And I think the comms was left in, but I think I turned around and went, fuck it, shoot Gengar, you can record this just as well from a bloody pod.
I think I saw that.
One of the few snippets they were able to leave in, because I was running on autopilot pretty much as the FC, and I just wasn't really thinking what I was saying, but it was one of the few snippets that got left in. I was cussing a lot that day. But I gotta say, I love the videos you put out. They're always great. I mean, especially the ones recently with Fly C. You guys have had some epic fights.
Yeah.
I mean,
I really like this sort of small, like, one alliance versus one alliance sized fights. Like during the no SHH war, like I didn't really see any videos because every video was just me black screened like the whole time. I think Topsy made a song about it, and like you see my footage and it's just like rolling black screens. But
yeah, the Phoenix put a video up during that war, or it might have been the Silent Gen war, and like there's a point where you're realizing it's like Phoenix is FCing blind here because he's just black screened and lagged out.
Yeah, nah.
Like that's
yeah. Since leaving Pantheon, like I'm really enjoying the smaller sized engagements. Yeah, that. So you can sort of be more maneuverable. You can be more strategic. You can set log off traps. You can warp to different points on the grid. You can't really do that when you've got like 3 different fleets with like 3 different languages going on, and yeah.
I mean, how big is Fly C right now? Because I know you started as 1 corp, but I think you've added 1 or 2 extras. So I mean, how?
We're 3 corps. So Spanish Inquisition's the largest corp by far, and then we've got Feck, and we recently added a corp called Bonk, who are like kind of new to nullsec, and we fought them a bit, and they were good sports, and so we sort of invited them to our alliance.
Awesome. That's like I say, it's great to see you guys growing and not exploding out in size, because
no,
starts getting big.
Yeah, like the fact that we added like another corp was like a big deal. It's like, oh, should we go to 3 corps? I don't know. We're kind of enjoying like the content that we've got right now. We don't want to. Yeah, exactly. We don't want to like grow too big. We've picked Impasse particularly because Impasse is an actual really, really shit region, except for like this one pocket, which is really decent, and so it's sort of really unappealing to like large corps to move in.
That's same reason I think Providence gets left alone by a lot of the larger entities, right? It's not great space, but it's good enough. Yeah,
exactly. Like Providence, I think the highest they have is like T6 or something, right? And it's Angel Space. So
Sancha.
Yeah, Sancha is okay. Sancha space, but yeah, I think they had like it's like the lowest tier space in all of nullsec. So yeah, they sort of get left alone by the big blobs, except for like roams.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, from what I've seen, the Provi guys are good sports, and generally you find most of nullsec is fine with roams. It's the constant pressure, I think, that people get really upset about.
Yeah.
I've seen a few roam videos from yourself as well. I think there was a rather epic fight between Spy and 2 burn nidhoggers. But
yeah, that was that was yeah. So we lost a nidhogger to a burr roam. It was a really unfortunate time, and like just as how when you're in a carrier you hit the what is it called, the high network mode or whatever,
the sensor mode, yes.
Just as the high network mode hit, someone's like, there's a fleet coming. And no. So we lost the nidhogger, and then we're like, all right, yeah, who hit it? Oh, Burr. They actually live pretty close. Why haven't we been? I guess we hadn't been hitting Burr just because I think you were in Gen space, and we sort of tried not to piss off Gen too much. Like we'd roam them a bit, but like we. But then we're like, yeah, I guess we'll get some revenge. And so we were hunting for burr capitals, and we finally got one. There was 2 Nidhoggers, yeah, and it was a pretty tough fight. Like, only my side of the comms got recorded, unfortunately, but there was a lot more swearing going on from everyone else. Like, thankfully, one of the Nidhoggers left. We dropped points on it, and it bailed, and so we just fought the one, and even that was really, really close.
Yeah, I was gutted to see that second Nidhogger leave, because it looked like if he'd have stayed, you might have been forced off.
Oh yeah, we were just beating the reps of the. We'd lost enough DPS at that stage. We were only just beating the reps of the carrier at that stage, and we were all running out of cap. Like, yeah, you could hear you couldn't hear on the video, but on our comms, like everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm empty, I'm empty." And basically, the last final volleys, we managed to take it down.
Yeah, that one just looked like such an epic small gang engagement. I mean, even what was it, about 20 guys versus 2 Nidhoggers? That's rough.
Yeah, it was rough. But no, that was great. And it's probably my favorite capital kill, that one. Just because, yeah, it was so close.
Oh yeah, I appreciate like roaming and ganking. Sort of, it happens, and some people enjoy it. But when the ganky fights back and makes it a hard won fight, that's much more rewarding in my mind. And that looked like one of those fights.
Yeah, like
you come out at the end of it.
Yeah, completely blob like a carrier, and it like dies in like a minute. It's like, okay, well, it's a nice kill, but it wasn't that fun. But I think we fought an Archon. I think one of my videos like a month ago, and he was PvP fit, and he had like a fleet backup. That was a really good fight as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I love it when the prey fights back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it means your roam's over sooner because you've lost half your fleet, but to be honest, I mean, you're going out there looking for content. If you get a proper fight, that's probably the best content in my mind.
Oh yeah, when we were always roaming, we fit for like, you know, fleet fights as well. Like, so we sort of roam and then encourage fights, encourage a defending fleet to come out and then fight them.
Oh yeah, and that in my mind is what like a good roam is part of, right? Like you should be able to take a grid fight, and but also still be able to maybe extract if they escalate a bit too much.
Yeah, you gotta warp fast, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the most fun scenario would be, I mean, you know, fun 25 on one, and like you said, it dies in a minute. But if you know that one has 30 people, one jump away, they're trying to come save him, then suddenly it's content and exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And like,
Oh yeah,
one thing I really like about Fly C is that we have a very small blue list. Like, everyone around us is grey. I think the closest blue entity is in Delve. And so, yeah, like there's just a lot of options for roaming.
yeah, because you guys are allied with TSC, I believe.
Yeah, TSC is like one of our few hard blues. And yeah, we keep the list very small. I think News is blue just so we don't accidentally kill them. They were the entity that were in Impasse before we moved in, and they gave really good fights for Impasse, and so we decided to let them keep their pocket.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's sometimes good to get on with your neighbors, but you don't want to get on with maybe all of them, right? Like you want to have some local content. But I mean, with jump clones and the insurance forwarding ships into place, I mean, you could have a fleet in the north, then it might take you 2 hours to actually get it there and set your jump clone, and then you go home again, and hey presto, you got a fleet ready to go at a moment's notice.
Yeah, jump clones really open up a lot of possibilities. Actually, I'm really excited for that because
Oh yeah, especially in terms of roaming, like. Because you can just go, hey guys, that jump clone you've got in the east, go there now. Or in the north, or in the south, or in the west, you know, like literally.
Yeah, you can roam in places that that is too difficult to get to otherwise, because Like the north is very, really far from us, so it would take like an hour.
Yeah, I
just
mean-
to get there.
Yeah, like deep north, especially if you're leaving from even Losac. I mean, yeah, it's taking you an hour with maybe battleships, half an hour with battle cruisers, and that's if they don't contest you the whole way.
I'm just watching this. Apparently, there's some PvP going on in the Sound of Us. This is hilarious.
Wait, what?
There's some PvP going on in the Sound of Us. Now this is hilarious.
Oh no, that crab's got a knife.
Yeah. Oh, I swear, man, it's gotta be. This is essentially Sunday only here, only in this place. But, jeez. So, again, before we end this segment, I gotta ask you, how's STJ doing? Because I haven't talked to that guy in like months.
Yeah, he's doing well. I think he thrives on wars. He's one of the he's one of the big thinkers, right? He makes sure all the timers are tracked. He makes sure we're in the right position. He's doing great.
He's always been like that. Yeah. But I'm glad to see that he's still, in the game getting his content. I watched your last video, where you guys did you captured, I think, it was an Archon that you guys grabbed in the gate. That's the last video I checked out from you. And that guy was pretty tanked out, and I heard STJ Archon. I was like, what's going on? What's the situation over there? I'm like, yep, that's Swede. That's everyone's favorite Swede right there.
Yeah, no. he had eyes around. I think he wasn't on grid though, so he was just trying to figure out what was happening. I think he asked me to send you his regards, Latera.
I don't think I've ever really spoken to STJ.
Really? I think I don't think he's heard you before until I think he's in comms right now. But yeah.
Oh wow! Seriously? I don't know. I
thought STJ was a intel guy. I thought he might have been sneaking into my comms when I was fighting against him with No and with Void.
I mean, I snuck into your comms when you were fighting with No and Void, but that's a whole different story, right? For a different day. Anyways, I want to send a shout out to Psylocke. I saw that he came in to the Sound of Us as well. We actually talked for just a little while, but it was very short lived because right now you guys were at the time at war with these people, and I was prepared to ask him a bunch of questions, but unfortunately it didn't last long enough for it to be a really significant thing. So, no big deal. I mean, wars come and wars go. And I believe that on the next segment, we do have the state of the war, which is going to be rather juicy. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about, right? I mean, one of the most laggy fights that I have been in like months on last Friday when we were up against No SHH, OG, and Void. It was an utter shit show. And it wasn't like the fault of any of those entities. It was an utter shit show because it was a huge mess on grid. But in the mix right now, this is Without Me by Eminem. Turn it up, check it out.
This is your Eve Echo State of the War report.
And this is your Eve Echo State of the War report, and holy cow, so much stuff that has been transpiring. Of course, last week, it was essentially the end of a legacy as Terran Federation formally did, in fact, disband. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of what on earth happened between Red Sea and T, we have this other end of another war, the war between Pact and AOA. And this one came to a very, unique conclusion. I think that a lot of us would have wanted for a little bit more closure in a way. Now, it has nothing to do with them losing or anything like that. It has to do with the fact that the grid was an absolute clusterfuck. I mean, we got up there on Friday. It's 7 a.m. and we're fleeted up to go and defend XGH. And we get there, on grid after many cups of coffee, RT if you're me, and jump on the other side of the gate, and we're setting up. And as it turns out, AOA is also setting up. Count them, 200 cans, like jettison cans, probably each of them with one, with like one barrel of fuel or something in it. And we're like, guys, why are you doing this? Stop doing this, right? And they insisted on doing this. Well, when SHH and No and OG and Void hopped into the gate, it became an absolute pain in the ass. The grid was so bad that most of our pilots never actually loaded the enemy forces that were coming through the gate. Now, I know that traditionally people have always said, well, when you have to jump into someone, you're at the disadvantage because you have to load the grid. Well, picture when someone is jumping into you and you can't see them on grid, like at all. So, so Mel is shot calling, and he's like, okay, target this guy, target this guy, target this guy. Why are they not taking damage? And he was desynced half the fight, and so he's calling targets, and I'm looking on grid, I'm like, G and Void, they had problems on their side as well. You know what I mean? But I feel a little disappointed because I feel like maybe we should have moved past this at this, the Content Coalition fights. And this is not like the first time we've had a fight with almost 1,000 people on grid. But tie-dye didn't kick in. Nothing kicked in. It was just an utter and complete shit show with lag, black screens, and I don't even know what to say about it, really. And the sound of us about how they had to turn their guns off after every cycle. We were right there with you. We were calling out targets. Hell, Vetamune was yeeting around. Vetamune was yeeting around in a Drake Guardian, and we couldn't even kill him. And he was yeeting. He literally yeeted into the fleet. We couldn't kill him because no one's guns would cycle. It was insane. So, to the No pilots, the SHH pilots, the Void pilots, and the OG pilots, I am sorry. And I apologize to all of us because I think all of us would have wanted a better ending to this saga between Pact and AOA and CRQ, etc. But unfortunately, because of lag and poor stability as far as the server is concerned, we didn't get that climatic finish that we all would have loved to have had. The finish of the amazing fashion after a huge battle that everyone can look back on to this day and say that was a battle for the ages, but we didn't get that. So if anybody from No or SHH or any of the other like PAC members disagree with me on this one, please let me know. I've always been quite open to people disagreeing with me. I don't care, but I just feel like we were robbed of what could have been the end of an era, and it could have ended in a really spontaneous and amazing fashion, and we didn't get that. So congratulations to Pact on their victory. I just wish that it had been a little bit more fun to see the whole thing go down, even if we all did die. Oh yeah, and SHH for their sniper Macario fleet. I believe that's what was out there. But in other news, apparently T and Red C had this really huge battle, and it led to a lot of capitals being lost. Nox, you're here in the studio, so please talk to us a little bit about this final battle that you guys had and just what this was like, because from what I could tell, I mean, the crabs just kind of came out in droves, and it was not pretty.
Yeah, it was probably the funnest fight I think I've had in the game so far. But A little back history for those that don't know. A day or two before, we managed to kill a boop, Roracle, and a carrier in the same system in very short order. And Boop and Tikos is kind of like Boop's older brother. They're a little protective, and he knows we have caps, so they like to come throw hands with us. We're pretty good. They wiped a cap fleet. What was it, like a few months ago, I think now, of ours. So ironically, I think they said that this was just completely unrelated, that they were quitting the game, and they figured what better place to bring all their caps than to the crab nests. So unfortunately for Tikos, when they were staging their capitals, we happened to see their capital fleet. So we kind of knew probably about 24 hours in advance. We're like, oh, well, clearly this is where they're going. We had a few systems that were unjammed in our space, so we just went and watched, and sure enough, there was Stinos lurking around, and we're like, oh, I wonder what T-Cross is up to. So at the time, I think we knew they had 11 capitals, which ended up being more than that. But we reached out to Bot 5, and we're like, hey, I am very confident there is at least 11 caps, probably mostly dreads, coming to our space. You want to set a trap? And they were like, hell yeah. So, thus began Operation Crouching Crab, Hidden Tiger. In this case, Hidden Bot 5. So we made a tentative plan. Oh, go ahead.
I was to say, just to interject, every time I hear about one of your ops, I just love your naming of them. It's just mwah.
I have to agree. I don't know. Do y'all like committee that or something? I mean, do y'all have somebody who's the assigned namer? Because I mean, these things, epic. I really enjoy them too.
We did try to come up with like the silliest thing we can that's semi-appropriate to the situation. Group efforts. But yeah, so we were kind of in the process of setting up. Bot 5 brought down a ton of stuff the night before, which is very funny actually, because it's funny that we saw Tikos and they were trying to sneak in our system all night. And I guess they must have just gone to sleep or whatever, but like a few hours later, basically Bot 5's entire fleet came and staged in our system, and they didn't see any of it, so they had no idea. So then... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so, well, it was, you believe, a complete shock to them that Bot 5 showed up.
Oh yeah, they had, I'm pretty sure they had no idea that they were there whatsoever. I mean... I don't know what T-Cos's tentative plan was. I'm pretty sure they thought they would just kind of come in and maybe snag a capital or two or bait us out. Well, they were trying to bait us out, but unfortunately that their bait was just part of our bait. So they had no idea. So we were kind of doing our own thing. We weren't really quite set up yet. They kind of came during our... At that point in time, there wasn't really that many people around. We were doing NDSs, and someone's like, there's a dread outside the NDS, and I was like, what?
Well, they brought a dread all the way to the NDS entrance?
Yeah, so in 9DQ, and there's a dread sitting outside the entrance, and Maddie pointed out to, I think, Freeman, he's silly Freeman, that you can't bring dreads into NDSs. So... we were kind of sitting there, and we thought there would be a subcap fleeter coming. There was nothing for them to really kill at that point in time. So we're like, well, I don't think they're going to full commit because we didn't really have any caps floating around, and obviously a dread sitting out in front of an NDS. We're like, well, this is 2,000% bait, obviously.
Yeah, obvious bait is obvious.
Yeah, so we were kind of like, we squared up in the NDS and kind of took a really good defensive position, and we're like, okay, maybe they'll come in with subcaps and we can just start blapping them, and then there was another dread. And we're like, oh, okay, well, this is bait, but still two dreads. I'm like, let's just start tackling them, and we could probably just kill them with subcaps. So we started messing around with that, and I think that at some point there, T was kind of like, this is a little dangerous because we were bubbling them, and then a carrier showed up on grid to kind of start killing our tackle, and we're like, okay. At this point, I started talking to bot 5, and I was like, okay, I think there's a very good chance that TCOS is going to full commit here. I'm going to see if I can pull the rest of their cat fleet in. And they were like, okay, so they started pinging all their guys to get ready. So we were kind of running around messing with TCOS. Then they had a carrier, another carrier that was sitting on the V6 gate, which is a gate more towards our entrance system. So we're like, okay, let's go try and see if we can snipe that with the striker fleet. So we kind of snuck out of the NDS and got by the dreads while people were tackling them and fighting there. And we went to go hit the carrier. Unfortunately, he was sitting on the gate, so we took him into like armor, but he was able to jump through. And the moment he jumped through, we had eyes on the other side, and that's when TCOS's whole the other like 11 or 12 caps logged in. So
well, damn, they'd logged caps off on the gate because that wasn't obvious from the videos.
Yeah, well, because from the videos, like I think some of T's videos a bit before. I think you get a video of like the Sloan Dread fighting the whole subcap fleet, but there was almost like an hour before our video of us going back and forth. So at this point, we'd also coordinated with Myth. We told them what was going on, and they started spinning up. And bless Myth. These guys are like, this is something I don't think a lot of people realize, because you see the videos and you see us fighting TCOS, and it's everyone versus TCOS. But the reality is that TCOS and Boop sent reinforcement fleets, and Myth was up in their space. I think at AL8 they started, which is kind of right at the entrance to their main pipe, and bubbled the Jesus out of them, and they didn't get there till basically the fight was over. I think they delayed them almost 2 hours, so they were like real MVPs of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if the backup had arrived, it might have gone completely the other way.
100%. As like everyone in New Eden is descending to this crazy situation. So
oh yeah, I saw pings from I think 8 or 9 servers just going, "Yo guys, there's a big dread fight going on. AP here and an interceptor, and see what you can do."
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I think Bot 5 started logging in. We pulled their whole cap fleet into the system. We were forming up caps ourselves, and I think they went to PXF gate. They got separated a little bit. Bot 5 managed to kill a carrier that was behind everything with their subcap fleet, and they went to engage a nag that got left behind, and they were fighting this nag, and we were kind of messing around, and non-PXF is AFK, and I'm like, there's no fucking way this thing's AFK. And he's like, I don't know, man. So, being the silly crabs we are, we yeeted our whole Mega Striker fleet at the Lone Dread, and it was definitely not AFK, and all the dreads came back from the other side and instantly vaporized that entire fleet. Yeah, so we went and formed up to go get switch into new ships. We formed up a rope fleet. We came to the conclusion at this point that all we needed to do was get rid of their carriers, and they were basically stuck on grid. And they had 3, and I think Bot 5 had just killed 1. They were engaging the other dread, and one of our pilots had the foresight to, Pepe El Jefe there, to, when they were on the PXF gate, he warped to the V6 gate where Bot 5 was fighting that lone nag, and he burned 300 off, aligning towards the PXF gate, and set up a drag bubble. So when TCOS went to try and go save their other dread, they all got stuck in this bubble 300 kilometers off of the dread, and Bot 5 managed to kill it with subcaps after I think it killed their whole subcap fleet.
Oh damn! And the thing is, 300k off the gate, and if they don't have any carriers left at that point, they're just stuck because they can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I think they still did, but they were breaking its tank. So they managed to secure the kill there. And I don't know. I don't know what T's perspective at this point. For me personally, when I would have seen bot 5, I'd have been like, okay, there's more going on here than this meets the eye, and I probably would have been like, it's time to get out. But they, power to them, they stuck with it. Came back to PXF because they knew we had caps forming up. We were kind of forming up there. They had eyes on that, and we kind of started playing. Yeah, we started playing gate games with each other. We're hanging out. Bot 5 had 8 dreads, and then we had 4 or 5 on at the time. And unfortunately, as I was jumping through comms, there was some miscoordination where they were saying not to aggress, and they were going to jump engage. And I think we unfortunately lost a few dreads in that scenario. But at that point, I think TCOS went, or sorry, not TCOS, bot 5, when they jumped through, they still had a carrier stuck on the other side because he had its NSA active, so they managed to kill that. And that only left 1 carrier left in PXF. So we're like, okay, this is it. We just need to get this carrier, and it's all over. And we just, if you see Maddie's video, you can see in the background, there's just this little conga line of Rokes just kamikaze rushing this NID trying so desperately to get away. And you can see too, because you can see the moment that they realize exactly what we're doing. You see his fighter switch, and then like a second before he dies, you can see all the dreads switching to start shooting the Rokes. And
oh yeah, they were melting subcaps in terms of battleship level subcaps. Like, I don't know if it's because the video from the T side was sped up, but it was just like, it was dead battleship, dead battleship, dead battleship, but dead battleship. It was just nuts.
Yeah, I think the Revs and then the Moros and like a lot of their dreads had T tracking computers on them, so like they did like an excellent job. Like I was actually shocked with how well they were hitting battleships. Even I was like, holy shit! But as soon as that carrier was down, we're like, okay, this is over. This is easy. We just had them continuously bubbled. And we're like, okay, bot 5, when they jump through, you jump through. And then we just, we're rage pinging our Discord to get carrier pilots online, and one by one they'd show up, and we just jump out of the range, and we just started softening up, picking off TCOS dreads, and they would jump to the other side, and then we'd sign out to the other side at 300, and again, do the same thing. And then after we kind of melted their dread numbers down enough, then we just went into a dread brawl with them and with the carrier support. I think we probably had like 7 or 8 carriers there at that point. Unfortunately, it just did not go well for TCOS.
No, it did look like an absolute epic, skirmish, if you can call it that, when you've got capitals on grid. And the fact is the videos don't show anywhere near how long you guys were actually at it for. Like, it was a good couple of hours, easy, wasn't it? So,
yeah, I think that was like 2 hours, which was long, and it was the thing I enjoyed probably the most about that is like we obviously lost quite a few dreads early into that fight, but we were like, okay, we don't have to see if we can get some more dread pilots online. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great time zone for us at that time or that day. But more people are showing up, more dreads, more carriers and stuff. But we just adapted to this situation and kept slugging on, as opposed to just being like, okay, let's cut our losses. We were very much, we will eat as many things as we need to secure this W.
Oh yeah. I was seeing pings from Silent just telling people just getting an interceptor and just put tackle on the dreadnought. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing. Is I think a Silent Scepter fleet, I don't even know, 70, 80 or something, ended up showing up, and then they were just stuck webbed on the PXF gate and ID, and with the carriers just mulching them, and then the dreads finally jumped in once we kind of tilted the numbers. Like a lot of the T-caps had the illusionary ghost core, and I don't know if you're super familiar with that, but it drastically increases the amount of damage compared to the Neon Rain.
Oh, damn. So they were actually probably putting out maybe a cap and a half's worth of DPS maybe once they're sieging?
Depending on how upgraded they are, yeah, I'd probably say so. Especially since a lot of them were not tank fit. A lot of them were pretty DPS. Yeah, as Hot Dog said in The Sound of Us, I think we, between Red Sea and HMM, I think we probably lost 40 dictors. We had like non-stop dictor pilots running into that.
Oh, damn. I mean, it's dedication, right, at that point. I know, like, light dedication there, especially over 2 hours. I mean, that's a long slog, even if you're having fun, right?
100%. I think I was like, again, like that was like, that was basically a mini CTA for them. For us, it was just like who we happened to have online at the time.
Yeah, like you say, you guys were trickling in as well, so that can cause problems with planning, right? That you're like, okay, we've got 5 carriers, then you sign over and you're like, hey, wait, hang on, we've got 7 carriers.
Yeah, the number just kept going. We had people logging in and they're like, what's going on? Why is everything going crazy? Why is stuff dying? Yeah, it was probably the best fight we've had. Mad props to T-Cross. I mean, I'm very surprised that they brought that many capitals into our space. I mean, I know they're a premier PvP corp and we're just a bunch of crabs, but like, it's a dangerous game, and I gotta respect taking that kind of risk. They, put more than 500 billion ISK on grid in the middle of our space. So I mean, well done to them.
Like I said, maybe they didn't think you either noticed or didn't think you would call in some backup. And that's the one I think people are claiming right now, is that they've been saying, Ret C are silence lapdogs because you called in for bot 5 support. I mean, what is the actual relationship between Ret C and bot 5? I mean, if you want to clear that up for people.
Yeah, well, it's it's kind of similar, but actually the reverse. Silent basically works for us. But no, in all seriousness, we just enjoy content. We PvP people. I mean, we know people in the Gulag from various organizations, and at the end of the day, it's, if someone's like, hey, we tackled something, we're going to come running because we want to kill stuff. And that's just the same sort of mutual relationship. We're like, hey, this is going to be a grand opportunity to kill a bunch of stuff. Do you want in? And that's basically all it is, dude.
Yeah, the way I was reading into it myself was it was an alliance of convenience from 2 groups who like to shoot stuff. I mean, we've seen it many times for caps. I mean, when I was still with No, there was a nag tackled in K4, and I think people from ACR know basically everywhere, and it was just like an agreement. It's like, okay, guys, only shoot the dreadnought.
Yeah, that was actually. Oh, go ahead.
It's that sort of thing where it's just like a spontaneous alliance or non-aggression between subcaps, and you just like kill that fleet or kill that capital.
Yeah, well, and that's that's the thing. It's like it's like in that fight, we basically just had to set all the enemies red because there was too many people showing up, and it was just like, okay, only shoot red people, don't shoot grays, because we just didn't have any standing set up.
Yeah, because I think TSC showed up as well, and obviously like Myth was coming in helping you out, and I don't know which side was TSC coming in on, or were they just coming to third party completely?
No, it's you had who Boop. Or DOS Boop, so there are 5 alliances, TCOS, you had Fear, and then you had TSC all showing up to try and help Boop. Which, I mean, they were getting bubbled from every direction. So, I think they struggled. Yeah, 100%. And I think that was just like, I mean, no fault to them. I'm not saying that, like, what they did there's anything wrong with it. I mean, like you said, everyone everywhere is like stuff's bubbled, and to be fair, we had tons of capitals on grid, T had tons of capitals on grid at that point. It was just up to everyone to pick which capitals they wanted to shoot.
Yeah, it's pick a side. I mean, if I wasn't in the middle of an op myself, I was tempted to bring some Nagas up and just shoot everything.
100%. Like, that fight was just absolute chaos on so many different places and so many different systems at the same time. So, like, you know, just join the chaos.
I'd have probably showed up and gone, okay, who looks like they're winning right now? They're my target. Then it's like, oh, it's swung the other way. Okay, I'll switch to the other side.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like I said, it was just like a ton of fun. You can see everyone else coming in there and people looting capital wrecks and stuff going down. And, I think at the moment when it all ended, there was a lot of good fights and everyone seemed kind of happy. I mean, there definitely seemed to be a bit more salt after the fact in the various social medias or discords, but all in all, I think everyone who actually participated in it had an amazing time, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Yeah, I mean, did it escalate into just a full scale brawl after the fact as well? Once all the caps had gone, like with all these neutral entities on grid, or was pretty much everyone like, "Oh, we're spent, we're going home"?
I mean, I think the closest, I don't even know if it was, I know TCOS got about like 30 something, I don't even know what they were, into 5-7, and same with Boop. They had a few battleships who made it into 9D. But I think basically once they started showing up, the fight had tilted to the point where the last of T's dreads were going down so quick that they just decided to turn around before they became casualties. And to be fair, it was the smart thing to do, because the 5-7 gate immediately started getting bubbled, our exit gate out of our pipe, and then we just started dropping carriers into that system and killing everything that was still left. So
yeah, I think the last bit of Matty's video is, I think like, you can hear you going, guys, take this Sino. They're like carrier pilots going, okay, and you're like, there's a cruiser, defend your space, crabs.
Yeah, it's
happy in stitches.
Yeah, I don't know. We all had fun. I mean, stuff was blowing up. We didn't take no losses. We got our nose bloodied, but everyone was in super good spirits about it, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're talking about the relation here, to be honest, between Retsi, TCOS, and Boop. I know you've told me a little bit about what's been going on in the Diplo room, because it's entertaining. I mean, you guys assigned yourself a Diplo from outside of the Corp, I believe?
Yeah, so, I mean, interesting thing, you know, we're crabs, we're not diplomats, we have crabbing to do. So usually the best thing, like, Boop is a constant, I mean, they're our best frenemy. We love to hate them. I think they love to hate us too, or maybe just hate us, I'm not sure. But we spend a lot of time with Diplo, which could be used for crabbing. And something that for us is, with our leaders, is like we spend enough time on Discord as is, so we've managed to outsource, and we hired a diplomatic consultant, which many people know is Heron Explorer.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been some interesting goings on in from the Boop side of things, because I believe they also hired Heron Explorer to represent them.
Yes, so it was a very interesting turn. We hired Heron Explorer, and he was doing great work, very diplomatic. For his compensation package, he definitely should be. It's not cheap, but Valka's, much respect to him. He saw the work that he was doing, and he also hired Heron Explorer as the Diplo to represent Boop. So,
I mean, the question here then is, how are talks going between Retsi and Boop, seeing as it's one guy doing all the talking?
It's escalating. Boop has officially declared war on Retsi, SSH, and No, and I believe Pravi as well. Which is, we're currently, our diplomat is currently trying to talk to their diplomat and establish that they're being unreasonable. And this is an aggressive action, and so far they haven't quite come up with how they're going to respond to that, so.
Which is very interesting, seeing as it's Heron Explorer talking to Heron Explorer. You'd have thought it might be a bit easier for them to come to an agreement.
I mean, some might see that as a conflict of interest, but if you've worked with Heron Explorer, you know that he can keep things professional and keep his personal interests aside. So,
I mean, it was definitely hilarious to me that two groups in maybe a Cold War that gets a bit warm sometimes is being represented by the same group.
When you're successful.
There's an old saying, you're always hardest on yourself. So since facing himself, he's really hard on himself, and that's why it's yeah.
He doesn't want to be seen to be picking favorites. I mean, that's probably the...
Exactly, and he cannot show any favoritism towards himself, so he has to take a hard line against himself. He has.
It's very interesting to watch him work.
That's the other question I need to ask. Like 2 Discord accounts, maybe?
Well, I think in the interest of transparency, I think it's good that he just maintains the one, and both sides can see that he's actively representing their interests. I mean, I'm not sure how what Boop has specifically done. I mean, Heron, we've been very direct with what we would like him to achieve, and he has stayed well within those guidelines. I mean, I hope Boop has done the same thing and give him some parameters to work between, as opposed to just, I mean, if they just made him his Diplo and let him loose, then I mean, well, it doesn't surprise me. He's being aggressive as he's an aggressive bird. I mean, it just makes sense.
That is very, very true. It was just entertaining to me when you told me about this. I think halfway through the week, and I was just in stitches. Just it's like, how on earth is that working?
Very, very well, to be honest. I mean, I haven't had to do any Diplo with Boop. I think Jim do. He's a super busy guy, and it's just alleviated a lot of pressure to us. So, I mean, I think obviously we compensate Heron, but I think we're indebted to him for his service, to be honest.
So since he's saving
it sounds like
planning on expanding your use of Heron in other diplomatic endeavors?
I think the thing with Heron right now is he's kind of our ace in the hole, where when we're stuck between a rock and a hard place with diplomatic relationships with other entities, we just bring him in because he just seems to be able to get through to people in a way that we can't.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting situation, I guess, he's been placed in, representing 2 groups with conflicting interests. Please, hope you keep us updated with the status between Red Sea and Boop.
We absolutely will.
Oh, it's only an Eve, right? Only an Eve.
Well, I mean, it's not a game for people who like traditional games. It never has been. It's just kind of weird. But I mean, people are going to have disagreements anytime you add something like politics or whatever into anything, really. I mean, it wasn't even Eve. I spent yesterday playing with my Warhammer group, and we were at war with an entity, and we ran them out of the PvP zone because of a disagreement, because they were being jerks to us. So we took opportunity to do it. So I mean, interestingly enough, in any game that is revolved around war, it never really changes. It's always a revolving door of diplomacy and war. So I wish you guys the best of luck concerning this thing you got going on with Das Boop. It should be very interesting to see how this helps to shape the galaxy. And found it really is kind of sort of a melting pot at the moment. It hasn't really been stable since the collapse of Pantheon. So that makes things even more interesting. Now, what Boop is going to do with TCOS retiring, that is going to be another. All I can say is going to be very interesting. War decking, no, I'm not sure if that was necessarily a good thing, though. I suppose that we'll find out. I think, though, that should be a wrap for this week's episode of New Eden FM. Noting in the sound of us, there's quite a bit of chatter, but it's actually pretty chill in there. I have enjoyed watching some of these memes, and wow. Every week this place just gets a little bit more wild.
I mean, wild's the way we wanted it, right, Kenzie?
Oh well, I mean it's boring otherwise, right? It's just, jeez. Even SCJ.
I'm just here. I'm just here to give you a headache, Kenzie. You know that.
Whatever. Whatever. All right. But for this week's episode, I believe it's safe to say we can call it a wrap. We don't like keeping people all day. Go out, enjoy your Sunday, go blow up more ships, go and get more content. Go and take a stick and go over to the beach and poke a crab. They will appreciate it so much that they will probably clamp you in a very, very, very painful place.
Yes, and when you do, don't forget local.
And don't forget to boop and local. You know, this is probably the most it's probably the best track that we could use to end today's episode. I believe that this is War Eternal by Arch Enemy. Go figure, right? Anyway, love, hugs, and kisses, boop and local, and we'll see you next week.
They never learn. So, who's next?